Well, hello there. This is Virtual Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. Welcome to another episode of Quick Wins. And today I've got a really lovely game of the Alien Gambit against the Caro-Kann Defense. Now this game was submitted by one of my Indian subscribers, Nxe4 Nf6. Let's go take a look. Now, Caro-Kann, of course, one of the best responses to e4 by black by playing c6, take full center, here we go, down into the main line, all very normal, captures, looks like we're still in the main line with the knight, develop the knight, and here we have the Alien Gambit, knight to g5. So, a very tricky move, Stockfish doesn't really like it, and the accurate line for white from this point after h6, which is asking the question, what really is the knight doing there? The accurate move according to the engine is knight back to f3. Now, you can see, you might have seen that rather than this move at high depth, Stockfish actually thinks the most accurate move is to play c5. A bit unusual, play c6, then c5. It doesn't feel very human, doesn't feel very intuitive. The idea is to immediately put pressure on the d4 pawn. However, that's not usually the way a Caro-Kann player will play. Now, the whole purpose of the knight coming here is to immediately pressure f7, that f pawn. The f pawn is uniquely weak at the beginning of the game because it's basically defended only by the king. No other piece defends it, which basically means an attack on the f pawn, whether it's f7 for black or potentially f2 for white, is de facto an attack on the opponent's king. Now, normally, the problem is that you need probably a couple of pieces to really attack the f-pawn. But in the Alien Gambit, we're going all in, very committal. Even though the knight is not supported by any other pieces, it's gonna whack that pawn. A knight captures, another very tricky move. Stockfish calls this move a blunder, so the analytic engine calls it a blunder, about -2, actually worse than -2, which basically means after captures, the engine actually thinks that white is worse off than just the material difference. However, when we look at the Lead Chess Community database, white is completely dominating from the perspective of win ratio. In fact, let me just take a quick look. Yep, white wins 60% of the time versus black 37% of the time in the Lead Chess Community database. That's absolutely incredible. So, very committal position by white. King drawn now to that weak f7 square, and for white it's now attack the king. So king's knight out, basically there's a potential another check here. The opponent develops a piece that doesn't look like it's a bad move, and it's not a bad move. But double down, knight now leaps forward to e5 with an attack on the king. It's check, has one of two places to go. And the reality is, if you're playing with the black pieces, even if you had time to check, and in this game, this was a game of bullet. Basically, at this point, the whole game has only lasted for about 10 seconds. It's not really obvious what the difference is between king to g8 and king back to e8. In this game, black moved the king back in this direction. It's a mistake, as you can see at this point. The mistake is still only about -0.4, so it's actually about equal. This would have been better and black would have retained their advantage. But in this position, with the bishop to this position, can you see what white is trying to do? It's trying to make use of that weak light square diagonal now that there's a hole on the f7 square. In this position, black has only a single good move. Can you find it? Did you see it? The only correct move for black is actually to move their bishop to f7 and to plug the hole. Not a terribly obvious move. The only other move that's not losing is that black needs to give the king an escape square, so the queen has to move out of the way. Neither of those moves are terribly obvious. They decide to develop another piece. That's a blunder. Mate into bishop now to g6 with check, forced move, and that is mate. Good game, GG.